What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirt City Gym. I'm back with y'all today to take another look at a new deck. So today we're going to be looking at DankRai Dragons. This is the deck that just won Anaheim Regionals this past weekend, piloted by Kenny Britton. This list is largely based off of Kenny's list. A few different changes. Just reading some of his notes that he made coming from the tournament, and just my own personal experience piloting this deck for majority of the season. Slight variation, but pretty similar deck in and of itself. So yeah, let's get into the list. Alright, so first off, we've got DankRai EX. DankRai is our primary attacker, 100 HP, pretty basic. Everyone knows what DankRai is right now. Whether it's DankRai Dragons or Turbo DankRai, DankRai's been on the scene now and for a good while. But it's primary attack, and the primary attack of the deck here is Dark Pulse. For 2 colorless, does 20 plus, and this attack does 20 more damage for each dark energy attached to all of your Pokemon. And really the core concept of the deck is putting a bunch of energy on the field, whether it be dark or double dark or a double dragon energy, which will count twice towards Dark Pulse, and just hitting stupid numbers with DankRai relatively quickly. So yeah, we're running 3 DankRai. Again, we've got a couple of other attackers, so we can limit it back down to 3. We're also running 2 Shaman, best supporter, or best draw support in the game, set up as a dumb ability. Running 2 of the baby Eeveeloutions, Oblivion Wing Eeveeloutions. Ideally, in majority of circumstances, you want to start off with Eeveeloutions and start loading up Oblivion Wings as quickly as possible. Discard some energy, Oblivion Wing attach for the turn. Ideally, and this is where it's super similar to the Turbo DankRai version that does not include the dragons. I've also got a video on that if you want to check that. But we're just trying to load up energy. So a couple turns of Eeveeloutions early really sets us up for later in the game. Then next up we've got Giratina. How their decks works, we've got 2 different dragons that serve very different purposes. So first up we've got Giratina. He's more useful in majority of matchups, but so Giratina is 170 HP. It's got the ability to Renegade Pulse, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by Mega Evolution Pokemon. So it's a really strong ability to have. Shuts off things like Mewtwo, Mega Rayquaza, Mega Garbodor, any Mega deck really they can think of. And not only does it prevent the damage, but prevents the effects of the attacks. So things like Caesar can't knock off its energy, cool stuff like that. But more importantly, it's got the attack Chaos Will. For Grass, Psychic, and 2 colorless, does 100 damage, and your opponent can't play any Pokemon tools, special energies, or stadium cards from their hand during their next turn. It's a lock, and it's a big lock. Cuts them out of a lot of different things that they normally can't, so they can't use them. I know when you look at Chaos Will, you're like, okay, that's a really weird type of numbers to hit with the Grass and the Psychic. But we've got the card Double Dragon Energy, which provides 2 energy of any color at all times while it's attached. So simultaneously, it covers the Grass and the Psychic, and it counts as 2 dark for Dark Pulse on DankRai. But we'll get into that kind of stuff later. Then next up, we've got Salamence EX. It's a little new tech added to the card more recently, but 108 HP. It's got the attack Beastly Fang, which is really the only relevant attack for a fire and 2 colorless, also covered by Double Dragon. It does 10 base, and this attack does 50 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon EX, which is a great attack. It's really good in different matchups, more specifically things like Volcanion, which likes to load up their bench with Hoopas and Shamans, Volcanion's EX, so you're doing big amounts of damage there. DankRai EX, if you're running against Turbo Dark, usually they're trying to get a Hoopa out turn 1, get multiple DankRais and Shamans out, which lets you do upwards of 200 damage a turn, which is really, really strong. And then also things like Mega Rayquaza, if you can't get Giratina going and things like that. But all in all, Salamence is a great attacker. Even if it's a matchup where you're not going against an EX heavy deck, being able to just drop Double Dragon or just Dark Energy in general on Salamence on the bench, to power up your Dark Pulse is never a bad idea too. Going back into Giratina, because I didn't mention it, but other matchups that Giratina is really strong in, obviously the Mega matchup, but also against super special energy reliant heavy decks, whether that be like Vespiquen is the one that comes to mind most immediately. This is kind of your go-to attacker in those kind of matchups. If you lock them out of their energy, there's not a lot they can do. Just keep that going for as long as you can. And then finally on the Pokemon line, running one Hoopa EX. Hoopa EX is probably the best engine right now. You know, turn 1 Ultra Ball, especially in this deck. Turn 1 Ultra Ball, get rid of 2 Darkness Energy, go get Hoopa, go get a DankRai, or 2 DankRais and a Giratina, DankRai, Giratina, Salamence, DankRai, Giratina, Shaman, kind of whatever combination you need. Get your board set up and getting ready to start swinging. So moving on to the items and supporters. First up, we've got 2 Escape Rope. Just gives us a little bit of maneuverability. We are not running Float Zone in this deck, and that's based on Kenny's list. He did not run Float Zone either. He also ran an additional Escape Rope. I've cut down to 2, just add some room from some other things, but yeah, Escape Rope, great card. Even if it's not necessarily for our mobility, being able to put your opponent in a bad spot. If they've got only like 1 Pokemon on the bench that they're trying to hide for a turn or 2, Escape Rope, bring the guy out. Next up, we've got 4 Max Elixir. Great energy acceleration, especially in a deck like this. So look at the top 6 cards of your deck. Attach a basic energy card from there to a basic Pokemon on your bench, and other card, and then shuffle everything back in your deck. Really great. We're running 10 basic energy to power that up. Make sure we try to hit those as much as possible, but yeah, as soon as turn 1, if we can start getting Max Elixirs off, really sets us up pretty great. Depending on certain situations, we can attach DankRai, Max Elixir, hit the DankRai, Escape Rope, get DankRai up in the active, and start swinging on turn 1. It's really strong. Next up, we've got 3 Trainer's Mail. Just kind of get through a deck, whether it be finding things like Max Elixirs, Escape Ropes, Ultra Balls, anything we need when we need it. We're only running 3. You could potentially find room for 4, but I think in a majority of my personal lists, I've cut down to 2. But in a deck like this, where you're prioritizing hitting things like Max Elixirs and things like that, I think 3 is a pretty safe number. Next up, we've got the 4 Ultra Ball. Pretty standard stuff. Like I said, primarily you're going to be getting Hoopa on turn 1 as quickly as possible with an Ultra Ball, assuming it's not prized. From there, anything else in your deck here is searchable. For a Via Seeker, standard stuff, just get back your supporters. 2 Perilousity. This is a really good card to have in a deck. It's super versatile. Obviously, the blue part, whoever you're facing with the blue, their bench is reduced down to 3. And you can use that in multiple ways, whether it be dropping your bench down. So after you go turn 1, load up with Shaman, Hoopa, DankRai, Giratina, or whatever combination. You Perilousity yourself down, get rid of the Shaman and the Hoopa off your bench. You don't have that liability later in the game. Conversely, you drop the blue side down on your opponent's side. That's really strong against decks like Rainbow Road, which prioritizes putting multiple Pokemon on the bench. And Mega Rayquaza, same concept. They want to have a bunch of Pokemon on their bench. You drop the Perilousity, you limit their damage output, which also combos well with Giratina, because Giratina makes it where once you get Chaos Will, they can't play Stadium, counter your Perilousity. So it's a really strong card to have. And then over here down on the bottom, the red side, whatever side, whoever this side is facing, that a player's grass, fire, and water Pokemon do 20 less damage. So it's somewhat relevant in things like the Volcanion matchup, potentially the Greninja matchup, kind of limiting their damage output. So a really good, strong, versatile card to have, whether it be lowering your bench, your opponent's bench, or dropping down their damage output. Like I said, we're running a 2 of that. Next up is Silent Lab. Kenny did not run Silent Lab in his list. I chose to include the Silent Lab primarily for the Volcanion matchup. Previously when I ran this deck, pretty hardcore, it was running a Garbodor line, so that kind of gave me that advantage over Volcanion and Greninja and things like that. Silent Lab is kind of filling that spot more primarily for Volcanion, not necessarily worried about going up against Greninja as much anymore, but a well-timed Silent Lab can really just cripple Volcanion. Can't get their steam ups, things like that, especially if you're wombo combo that with Giratina where they can't counter that stadium. And like I said, we're running a 2-up. You also have to be careful when playing the Silent Lab, because obviously it's going to turn off the abilities of your Shaman, your Hoopa, and even your Giratina against a Mega deck. So again, just something to be mindful of. We're running 2 of those. Next up, we are running 1 Lily. Again, this was not a card that was ran in Kenny's deck, but this is one that I've been seeing increase play. And just, I personally think it's an amazing supporter. So draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand, and if it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. Obviously, drop it on turn 1. It's amazing. But even later in the game, it has more usefulness. Let's say you get 6, 7, 8 turns in. You've taken 3, 4, 5 prizes, whatever. In is not super relevant at that point, because you're only going to be drawing a handful of cards. Whereas if you drop a Lily, you get a full hand. Conversely, you don't want to give your opponent more cards of an in. You can Lily. I'm assuming these are things that you don't have access to Sycamore. Or early game, mid game, late game, resource management. Let's say you got a bunch of max elixirs in your hand, Ultra Balls, whatever, that you don't want to burn off a Sycamore. If we drop a Lily, we save those in our hand while still drawing cards. So it's a good alternative to have. Again, like I said, we're just running a 1 of. It's always via Seeker searchable from our discard pile and things like that. So it's a pretty good card to have. Next up, we're running 2 Lysander. Pretty standard stuff. 2 in. This is dropping down from the 3 that Kenny ran in his list. We dropped down to 2 to make room for the 1 Lily. But in, it's one of the best supporters in the game, whether it be to help you hurt your opponent, any kind of combination of. We're running 1 Olympia. Olympia, again, is helping our maneuverability. We're getting out of the active. Hoopa is a pretty big target to get out of the active. They like the Lysander up a Hoopa, Lysander up an unpowered Giratina or Salamence. We got Olympia to help us get out of the active, and healing the 30 damage doesn't sound like a lot, but that can mess up math. So always a good card to have via Seeker searchable as well. Next up, we have 4 Professor Sycamore, the best draw supporter in the game. 2 EXP share. So basically, this is kind of where the Turbo DankRai and the DankRai Giratina decks have kind of merged. With cards like this, especially with EXP share. So whatever Pokemon it's attached to, whenever your active Pokemon is knocked out, you may take an energy card from that Pokemon and attach it to the Pokemon that has EXP share on it. So loading up things like a Giratina or even a DankRai with EXP share, it keeps all of your dark energy on the field. Obviously, you're not going to be saving your double dragon energies, but being able to save those dark energies, which that's an extra 20 damage that you're keeping on the field. So it's always a good card to have. 2 Fighting Fury Belt. Primarily, really, the boost you're getting from the Fighting Fury Belt is that extra 40 HP. Turns DankRai into 220 HP monster. Giratina's 210. Salamence is 220. But also with that 10 extra damage, it does become relevant sometimes with different math. But more importantly, Fighting Fury Belt Giratina does 110, which is enough to one-shot Shaman and 2-shot a lot of Megas or other Fighting Fury Belt equipped Pokemon. So good stuff to have there. Then finally on energy, we're running 4 Double Dragon, which again, Double Dragon's great for powering up our dragons, and then providing an extra 40 damage to DankRai's Dark Pulse. So it's always good to have. It can only be equipped on a dragon, but we're running 3 pretty good dragons. And then finally we're running 10 Dark Energy. Obviously, that's how we're getting our damage output for DankRai. 10 is a pretty good number to have for the max elixirs. Theoretically, you should be hitting a dark energy every time you have a max elixir, having at least 10 energy. Ideally, you'd have a little bit more, but the more you run with the 4 double dragons and stuff like that, you get a little clunky, but 10's a pretty safe number to have. So yeah, but otherwise, so that is the deck, guys. Let me know what y'all think about DankRai Giratina down below. Let me like, subscribe, comment. Feel free to check out our Twitch channel. We're starting to stream a couple times more regularly during the week. And also look for some new exciting stuff to announce for the Dirty Gym. But other than that, I will see y'all next time.